here we go. Time for open mic radio. Take a load off and enjoy the show. This is open mic radio.
All right, it's true. Hello and good day. 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, which means it is once again time for open mic radio. We're going to get things moving with one from today's featured artist. In just a minute here, we'll hear something from the Reverend Freakchild. But we'll say thanks for listening, and come on back in just a couple minutes. This is All Across America. Back with you in just a few.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie, strange dreams in someone else's scenes, yeah. Got his head moves on hold and everything just seems, oh, everything seems so strange and yet somehow so clear, yeah, especially now since I ain't got nothing to fear. But is that me in the mirror? Oh Lord, what have I become?
There you go. That's the way we start the show. I like it so much. All right, that's the Reverend Freakchild. That's all across America. And great way to start the program. It's Open Mic Radio, Saturday, August 7th. Awesome weather for this summer weekend. I sure hope you're enjoying it out there. Lots happening this weekend. I'm so glad it's nice for it all. First Friday yesterday, as a matter of fact. Lots of fun and music happening in and around town. The Black Pumas, not to mention some of the other great acts that were performing last night. But yeah, excellent stuff yesterday and in the evening. So hope you had a chance to enjoy some of that. Yeah, okay, Open Mic Radio. We do this every Saturday afternoon from 4 o'clock until 6. Live music and interviews with some of Missouri's, and sometimes not Missouri's, finest musicians and bands. Today is the latter. My name is Mike Hagan. I'm joined once again by my partner, Kurt Kitson. And Kurt's providing the bumper stuff and a little comic relief, as he always does. Anyhow, we feature awesome local and regional music and sometimes music from across the country. Today we've got a friend of ours at the station here from, I guess, Colorado is where he sort of makes his home. But we'll find out a little bit more about the Reverend Freakchild in a little bit here. Of course, in order to play music from people that aren't that familiar with others around this area, I need to know who you are, and so this is my sort of call to action. All right, if you want to appear on the radio program here, and you want to play some of your own music, or if you want like maybe to be featured here on the program sometime, or you just want to stop down and say hi, do it. Send me music. Contact me. It's real easy. You can come down here to KOPN, 915 East Broadway. We're high up in the Dalton building, and lovely downtown Columbia, Missouri. I'm easy to get available, or I'm easy to get a hold of on the web. I have a website. It's MikeHagan.com. Just go to MikeHagan.com. You can send me a message there, or you can call the station, or I think you can send messages over KOPN.org. You can go to Twitter. You can go to Instagram. Okay, right? You get it. So if you have music that you'd like to share, I would love really to hear it and to share it with other people. That's what we do. And I'm going to do that this afternoon as well. Okay? All right. Hope things are going well for y'all out there. Big thank you to Carol. Of course, doing Hepcats Holiday, 2 to 4 every Saturday before this program. And starting things off at noon, Morgan Matsiga with the wonderful Wonderland, the Wonderland Jam. Motherland Jam. Wonderful music from across the continent of Africa. All right.
It is a wonderland.
And you know what? After this program, we have another couple of great shows coming up. Reggae Party with the wonderful Rashumba coming up here at 6 o'clock until 8, and then 8 o'clock until 11. Chris, great show, Blues on Broadway. And my guest this afternoon is actually going to be returning to the station for a sort of encore series of songs, I guess, with Chris a little bit later. So anyway, okay, I'm going to get my act together here and play another one from our featured artist of today's program. His name is the Reverend Freakchild, and this is an interesting cover of a song called Personal Jesus. I'll call you back, and you can call me here, 573-443-8255. Check in, let me know what you did last night. Let me know what's happening tonight. If you have things happening, we want to know about it, and we want to share it with other people. So we'll take some phone calls, and we'll talk with the Reverend Freakchild in just a little bit. In the meantime, this is the Reverend Freakchild with Personal Jesus.
Yeah, your own personal Jesus, someone who cares to hear your prayer. Yeah, your own personal Jesus, someone who cares to hear your prayer. And you're all alone, flesh and bone, by the telephone. Pick up the receiver, he'll make you a believer. You second best, put him to the test. Yeah, things on your chest, you need to confess. He's a forgiver, you know he will deliver. touch faith. By the telephone, lift up the receiver and make you a believer. Yeah, your own personal Jesus, someone who cares. Yeah, to hear your prayer. I say your own personal Jesus. Someone who cares, yeah, someone who's there. Well, you know he will deliver, he's the forgiver. Reach out and touch faith. Reach out and touch faith. Yeah, reach out and touch faith. Yeah, reach out and touch faith.
All right, there's another one from Reverend Freakchild. That one's rock it out with some old Depeche Mode, I think, if I remember correctly on that one. But anyway, it's Mike. You listen to Open Mic Radio on KOPN Columbia, 89.5 FM. Glad to be here with you this afternoon. Hope things are going well. We've got in the studio with me today, very proud and pleased to have him with me today. But yeah, we've got a guest in the studio, the Reverend Freakchild. I was.
You were about to say Reverend Frankenstein. I like that.
I called you Reverend Freak Show last week.
Freak Show's good. I'll take it, man. Reverend Love Child, whatever.
I actually looked. I saw on your website or whatever, and there's all kinds of different aliases that you actually perform on. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Anyway, great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
The real man in the studio himself here, the Reverend Freakchild, and he's in town and. For a couple of gigs, actually. I'm going to play B-Side Records immediately after this program, right around 6 o'clock. And coming back to visit with Chris, who I guess you are friends with, or at least acquaintances with over the years.
For many years, coming by, just slipping by in the middle of the night.
That's sleeping in the middle of the night.
Yeah, instead of sleeping, just driving through and then hitting Columbia. But yeah, it's great to be here on the show. Thanks so much for having me, man. And it's thanks for spinning the disc. That Personal Jesus, if you lived through the 80s, it was hard not to hear that tune, right? I mean, right. And I kind of brought it back to the blues, and then Hugh Poole was playing harmonica on that. He's got my blues guru back in New York. I recorded with him.
What's the name of your harmonica guy?
This guy, Hugh Poole.
Hugh Poole?
I call him really my blues guru. He's got his own studio there. He's an amazing picker and an amazing human being. Sometimes I think he's an alien because he's just so super cool. But anyway, and Chris Parker playing drums on that, who's played with Bob Dylan and stuff, and
wow,
anybody. I mean, it's just like I was talking to Chris one day and Stevie Wonder came up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I did a gig with Stevie for the MLK Jr. Celebration in DC one time." Wow. I was like, "Dude, you're super humble. Like he just never brags on anything, But he's played with Dylan, and he's played with John Hammond and Joe Cocker. And
there's a guy who's a regular listener of this program and performs here as well. His name's Justin Hickerson, and he calls in actually once in a while as well. He's on the road right now with a band called the Hoot and Hollers.
Right on.
But anyway, he's the biggest Bob Dylan fan that I know, yeah. and if he's listening to the show, and he very well maybe. He probably just about had Dylan, a heart attack when he heard that. So
he's just great. I mean, I think it's funny. It's like there's so many incarnations of Dylan, and Mr. Zimmerman. Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Robert Zimmerman. Yes,
Robert Zimmerman. But yeah, he's an elusive cat. If I ever and God, I hope I don't, knock on wood, if I ever, I used to work with cancer kids, so if I get a Make-A-Wish, and I had cancer, I'd ask for a dinner with the Dalai Lama and Bob Dylan. They just stand there and just stare at each other, meditate or something, but I'd be like, that would be my dream dinner, those two, hanging out with them.
I was going to ask you what your dream gig would be later in the.
Well, that would be it.
Right?
No work.
Now
I
we
just
know
sit
what
there
it
and
is. So.
watch them dig on each other, and I could be part of the conversation. That would be.
Hey man, how about for the people who aren't familiar, a little bit about your background and where you come from and how you got into music and all that.
Definitely, yeah. I just listening to that version with Hugh Poole, I've done a lot of recording with him back in New York, and that it sounds like a whistle, right? But that's a theremin that he's going.
Sound from?
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
That's like some sort of weird electronic instrument, right?
Yeah, and it's like a vibrations, and you get closer to it, and it gets a different pitch.
Right,
it's actually the Star Trek, I think, the original, before the lady sang it, it was like, all those oscillating tones in there. So it mimics the kind of a slide guitar thing, too, and it also mimics the voice, right, that can do that. A lot of things are two tones. And anyway, I think we were going to talk about this. I'll start here. Reverend Freakchild is, for those that don't know, there's a whole tradition of blues reverends. And, it was back 100 years ago, post-slavery, Jim Crow stuff, you saw a black man in a suit. He was either a preacher or he was a bluesman. And those were the two jobs other than, being a house slave or a field slave, or sharecropper at that time, which was just indentured servitude. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the socioeconomic, history of the African American experience, but about blues, which is directly related to that.
Directly related, absolutely.
And that's sort of where the starting point is. My mom was a classical pianist, so that didn't really take. There were a lot of years. I don't hear you practicing in there, and I'd be like, "Yeah, Mom, right."
But you played some.
Oh yeah, a lot of it. I mean, it was like brutal. All those little recitals where everybody's freaking out and you're dressed up and there's fluorescent lights and you're performing and they're getting judged, and I was like,
I remember him well. Yes.
So my dad played me the blues and I was like, oh, this sounds like fun.
Now that's a little bit better.
Although I still go to the symphony. Actually, it was me and my girlfriend Lisa in Denver will go to the symphony, and that's one of the things we really missed during the pandemic. That's a group experience. You have all these different, you go see a band, it's like that. It's like, wow, these are all different parts of this thing that's coming out as a whole. It's amazing, and the symphony is the epitome of that because there's no amplification. There's violins and tubas and cellos and timpani and everything, and it's like, wow, it's all coming together.
It's amazing,
amazing sound.
Yeah.
Not to get too trippy, but that's part of my story. So the Reverend part is such that my dad turned me on.
Your parents were musicians, or at least your mom was?
My dad says he didn't really play an instrument, but he plays the stereo. Boom, ching. Hey, is this thing on? Right. So, and my mom was a really talented musician. She still plays some classical stuff, although she's much older. But
all right.
So anyway, the Reverend part of it, that's kind of the Freakchild thing. The Reverend part is that, my mama used to read to us out of the Bible. She was a Texas Presbyterian. She wasn't a religious zealot. It's just Texas Presbyterians.
Good name for a band, the Texas Presbyterians.
Exactly. Gospel group. But, that's what just Texas Presbyterians do, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years in this country and thousands of years in the old country. You just get because it was all about, we can read our own Bible. We don't need some priest to tell us what to do. We can read the word right here. Yeah. Although, you don't want to go too far into that. The Council of Nicaea in 323 put the Bible together and codified.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, who knows what the hell we're reading.
Right. It's like very interesting to look into the history of all that, right? So. Yes. But the weird thing was, after all that Bible reading, when I was 16 and I dropped acid, it was like, oh, and I thought I was Jesus for a weekend. Things got a little complicated.
The old Messiah complex.
So I actually got a little bit more attracted to Buddhism, and I've since been making most of my midlife crisis at a little university called Naropa out in Boulder, Colorado.
I'm familiar. I lived in Denver for years before I moved here.
Right.
And my ex-wife went to school up in Boulder, and so we, Denver, Boulder, the whole area. So So
it's kind of, people think of it as a hippie school, but it's really like Chogyam Trungpa, who was this Tibetan enlightened master, kind of founded this thing, and with a whole bunch of other people as an institute. And it was a place it was a yogi school. It was people that were Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist to come and study and compare notes.
Right.
Like, this is like pro tips, man.
Right.
Like, these sages have been living and passing on knowledge for years. Might as well take some advice from these people. It's like it's gotten all confused with the teacher and the teachings, some people taking advantage of the power there. But anyway, so that's kind of the background of the Reverend Freakchild character, but the real story was I was sitting there smoking pot on the couch one day, and I was that wasn't the only thing I was doing, and this roommate of mine said, man, you're like some lonely freak child just sitting there smoking pot all day. I was like, yeah, I haven't left the house for like a month. I'm just smoking pot, and I was doing all kinds of other chemicals. So anyway, I'm going on 16 years sober, but that was the thing. And then
Congratulations on that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
well
Thank
done.
you, man. One day at a time. And let me say, if there's anybody listening out there, you got any problem with like Albert King told Stevie Ray Vaughan, when he fell off the stage, he was so drunk. He said, man, it's all right to take a sip, but if you're falling down and breaking your lip, you might want to look at that.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
So just want to say, everybody out there, lay your hands on the radio. There's a lot of people that want to help, and if you got some problems with addictions and stuff, there's plenty of help out there. So,
I agree.
just reach out and touch faith, kind of thing.
Hey, I'll tell you something, and this whole COVID pandemic really brought a lot of that to the fore. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you were struggling before it, it was,
I saw a lot of people come into the virtual rooms, during the pandemic. They just, had nothing else to do, so get something and go back home. And, it's like I said, I don't have any problem with the chemical or anything, but if I'm the addict, like whatever you put on the table, sex, drugs, rock and roll. I wasn't joking when you were like, hey man, you want a beer? And I was like, dude, if you got bail money, I'll take a beer. It's like, dude, it's gonna get ugly and crazy. And like 2 weeks later, it'll be like, dude,
wow, what happened?
I had some bad.
No, I'm saying that's 2 weeks later. Like, holy cow, what the hell happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You black out, and you're like, dude, I did what? Exactly. So I got tired of doing that for too many years, and so the Reverend thing came about. It was actually sort of like I went and see a Reverend Horton Heat show, and I thought, I'll make this character into a Reverend character, the Lone Freak Child. So
the Reverend Horton comes around here
Exactly.
now and again,
and now you got all these Reverends, like Reverend Peyton, and
right.
Actually we got Reverend Sean Amos, who's actually the son of famous Amos. Remember the cookies?
I do.
mean, they're still around.
Right.
I remember I grew up in Hawaii when I was a little kid, and we had
Nice.
that. He came out there and visited. I got to meet him one time, but
The cookie guy.
Yeah.
Came to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you met the guy.
I was awesome. It
Did
made
he
an
bring
impression.
cookies?
He did. Of course, we got free cookies, dude. It was like a kid's
He had a
dream.
whole
You're like,
truck of
dude,
them.
this is awesome. We get cookies? Oh, well, I'm totally going to that. You
That's awesome. What island, do you mind me asking?
We were on Oahu, and I was on the leeward side in Kailua.
And was your dad military, or how'd you get to...
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he got a job back east, and then we moved back, when I was 9. Everybody asked me, like, why'd you move back? I was like, dude, I was 9. You follow those people that are feeding you.
I told my dad, hey, I'm just going to hang
You
here.
don't have a lot
but,
of choice back then.
Hey, Dad, I'm just going to hang here if you don't mind. You and Mom just head out, but I'm just going to stay. Yeah.
Exactly. I would have stayed if they given me the choice. I'm kind of like trying to find my way back there, and Boulder's kind of laid back and sunny.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Similar kind of thing. So yeah,
9, your only argument is, but I like it.
right, exactly. And they're like, yeah, they don't want to get into the argument of like, yeah, can you get a job and like support us? No, unless you're a child star, and then and then you get into the Britney Spears thing. But that's a whole other conversation.
All right. Well, hey, I'm always touting this show for live music,
Yeah.
and I've got a lot of other questions for you, and we
Let's
can talk.
do one, man.
But let's have a song, all right?
Right on. Yeah, and this is a.
You should see the guitar. Well, it's actually a resonator that
Yeah.
that the Reverend is playing here, and maybe he can tell us a little bit about his instrument
Definitely. Yeah, it's
before he plays here.
It's I call this the silver lining because I actually got all my stuff smashed and grabbed in San Francisco and wrote this tune called the Hippie Bluesman Blues, which was a sad story, but I met Mark Karen and all the San Francisco hippie guys out there and actually recorded this album called Bodhisattva Blues with Melvin Seals and all that
Nice.
stuff. But, so that was like a weird thing.
Blues.
Yeah, it was like about, you take the lemons and you make the lemonade, but it was painful when it happened. 2 guitars, gig bag with like $400 for the night before.
No one likes smashed lemons.
Oh, yeah, well, it was brutal. I mean, and the car was all busted up, and I was staying at a monastery at the time, and I was driving back, and I was like, man, I'll just become a monk, It's like, I'll call my girlfriend and see what she thinks about that, Put him. But, so I went, I had some bunch of gigs on the hook all the way up to the coast, I was going up to Seattle and Vancouver, and I had looked at this guitar the day before that happened.
Right.
So I just went back up there to Tall Toad Music and got it. And so it's a nickel...
Nickel plated. it
Yeah,
looks
and
like.
for people that don't know, the steel guitars, they were instituted before electric guitars for, the jazz guys.
Because there wasn't amplification,
yeah,
right?
there was no amplification. So to compete with the bass and the drums, or play with, excuse me, and then the Delta guys and the Texas blues guys took them out on the streets and they cut through.
Right.
Do you think it was a little Providence in there that all that happened?
What's that?
There's a little Providence in there, right?
Exactly, and it's sort of the mother
Time to get a new
invention.
guitar.
All right. So who makes
there
that?
It was.
Who makes that particular?
This is a national, yeah.
National.
Sort of the Steinway of steel guitars here, and
Very cool.
yeah, I guess we'll do one of those old guys. We'll do a tune from one of those old guys.
And so there's a misunderstanding with those guitars. Everybody calls them a dobro, but a dobro is actually a type of resonator.
Exactly. It's like
correct?
calling a tissue a Kleenex. It's become the name. It's like Google it. No, it's actually a brand name. You're doing actually a search for it.
I see.
So
Okay, yeah.
dobro is technically
Like a brand.
Yeah, it's a brand,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people think that this is called a round neck because you play it like a guitar, right? But a lap steel is
More lap steel,
Strings are raised up, and you play
Right.
with a Stevens
Right.
bar.
Right.
I'm not really.
Right on. Okay,
beyond
well,
me.
enough of that
can do
technical
both with this.
jazz.
Good, it's a
We are
little
going to
choice.
we're gonna get some music right now from the Reverend Freakchild. I appreciate him.
Right on.
I appreciate him coming down and visiting with us this afternoon.
Oh man, my pleasure. Great to
You
be
listen
here.
to Open Mic Radio. It's KOPN Columbia. We're streaming on the web at kopn.org. Of course, on the air, 89.5 on the FM dial. All right, here we go. This is the Reverend Freakchild.
Yeah, this is old Texas bluesman Blind Lemon Jefferson, and we'll send this one out to the ancestors. I don't know who are the Aboriginal people out here, the natives. You guys know? I mean, Arapaho. Did the Arapaho come this far east? I mean, that's where
I
the
think
Plains Indians in Colorado.
I mean, the Sioux came pretty far, pretty far east.
Yeah.
But I think there was some like the Iowa tribes
yeah.
were around here, and I think there was. I don't know. I probably shouldn't speak because
Okay, it's all right.
I'm unsure. But
No
there's-
worries. And
but
you
they
know, a
were
lot of
all over the
Westerns,
country. I mean, we had Native Americans. That's why we call them, of course.
Yeah.
And
Indians and
yeah.
all kinds of people, But anyway, Westerners that have come and gone. A lot of grandmothers and grandfathers, done a lot of work to get us here to this present moment. So we'll do one for the ancestors, whoever
Very
they may
good.
be and whatever we may call them. Anyway, this is a tune called "See That My Grave Is Kept Clean." So there's one kind favor you can do for me. Hey. Yeah, there's one kind favor you can do for me. Yeah, there's one kind favor you can do for me. To see that their graves are kept clean. Hey! Yeah, there's two white horses following me. Yeah, there's two white horses following me. Yeah, there's two white horses following me. Yeah, waiting on my burial ground. Hey! Have you ever heard that coffin sound? Now, have you ever heard that coffin sound? Have you ever heard that coffin sound? Them up our souls in the ground. Now, have you ever heard them church bells toll? Have you ever heard them church bells toll? Have you ever heard them church bells toll? Not a poor soul dead and gone. Hey! I'm beating and my hands is turning cold. Say when my heart stops beating and my hands is turning cold. Believe my heart has stopped beating, now my hands is turning cold. Now I believe what the Bible told. Hey! Favor you can do for me. Yeah, there's one kind favor you can do for me. Yeah, there's one kind favor you can do for me. Just see that my grave is kept clean. Hey!
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I guess that's the deal. You know, Pine Top Perkins, who was a piano player for Muddy Waters for years, he said, you know, that's a debt we all got to pay. You know, you come into this world, it's like, you get life, well, you're going to have death too. And hopefully it's not so painful, man. It's just like...
Yeah, the living's the hard part.
Exactly. That's right.
Right? Dying's easy.
Dying's easy. Comedy's hard.
Right.
Right.
All right.
So I got to ask you a...
Hold on. It's Open Mic Radio, KOPN Columbia. Got to give them got to let everyone know what's going on here.
To be continued.
Yes. We'll get right back to Kirk in a second here. Anyway, 4 to 6 p.m. every Saturday.
Shut down again.
All right. Shut down. Shot through the heart. And anyway, it's Mike, Open Mic Radio. We're here at KOPN, live in the studio. We've got the Reverend Freakchild joining us for another hour or so. Hopefully, he's going to be scooting on over to the B-Side Record Company over there on Wilkes, I believe it is. 11, what is it? I wrote it down. 1122 Wilkes, I think it is. Relatively new store, actually. A relatively new record store, at least, I should say, in town.
Cool.
Yeah. Of course, we have Hit Records over here on Hit Street, of course, and there aren't many other places where you can go get records and CDs.
All your audio options over there.
Yeah, they're calling it the B-side.
Yeah.
Blues-centric.
Yeah, blues-centric. I guess it means that they're kind of concentrating on the blues, perhaps.
Over there.
But yeah, an unexpectedly cool place to look for vinyl is at the Midway Antique Mall out there. On the way to my house, you know, if you go west on 70, you know, they're at the truck stop. They've got an antique mall there, and there's a bunch of, maybe, I don't know how many vendors, but there are at least a couple of vendors there that kind of have their albums there, and you can kind of go through them, and it's pretty reasonably priced if you know.
We'll have some vinyl down
for.
at Blues Centric for those that are interested.
Very good.
Here's the address. I found it: 1122 Wilkes Boulevard, Columbia, Missouri.
All right, 1122 Wilkes. It's not too far from the station, as a matter of fact.
And what time's your set kicking off there?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
We might just roll out of here and then go down there and come and check out the Rev down there.
We can make it in about 5 to 10 minutes. From
Easy,
here.
yeah, for sure.
Easily.
All right, so that's what's happening here. We've got the Reverend Freakchild playing some music for us. He's performing at B-Side Records at 6. He'll be back sometime a little bit later with Chris on Blues on Broadway. I've got me, myself, and Chris. We'll be doing the show at 8. We've got Kurt in the corner here who had a question for the Rev.
Well, I don't want you to give any like trade secrets away or anything, but I'm just curious. You got like an open tuning on that?
Yes. So no secrets here. Yeah, I mean, I guess Ry Cooter's kind of a little proprietary about some of his more esoteric tunings, but this is just a straight up dadgad. You know, they call it Vastopol. I guess there was some tune about the Battle of Vastopol that was written in this tuning, so sometimes they call it Vastopol. Nice. But you know, this was.
So you're ready for battle?
Yeah, I am ready. Well, the thing is, you know, with this guitar, you could beat somebody to death and it still plays fine.
That's right. Multi-purpose instrument.
You know. So
like
it's just a straight up, and I find it just really easy. I actually perfected this tuning in Amsterdam when I was there because I was so stoned out of my mind. I really couldn't put it into Spanish regular tuning. So I was like, oh, dude, yeah, it just all sounds good right here. And I'll tell you the secret, with
We'll
that.
blame it on Amsterdam.
Well, hey, blame it on the rain, blame it on Vegas, whatever, But I tell you, honestly, that Personal Jesus tune, I decided to do it because here it is. The lick is just right here. I was like, oh, that's easy. I'm lazy to
pretty
begin
much
with.
goes that the whole
So you
time,
stumbled
right?
on the Jesus part of it, the tuning, after you found the tuning.
Exactly.
Nice.
So sometimes they come, it's like, oh, I want to do this tune. Sometimes
That's
it's like,
a bonus.
wait, this thing's already here.
Like, I've heard this.
Yeah. Oh, maybe
Okay.
somebody's trying to tell me something.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
composition and songwriting. How
Yeah.
you've got a lot of records here. You've got quite a few.
I do,
at least a
yeah.
few CDs. So you have written a lot of music over the years.
I have, and I don't really consider myself a songwriter. I consider myself a storyteller. It's like if I'm, it's like about being a spiritual being. It's like I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and part of that is I have this gift of music, right, that my mama gave me. And if I don't use it, I get really depressed. I mean, I'm just sort of, when I play music, I'm just like normally depressed.
Have you had periods of time where you just didn't play, or you were
yeah,
out
and then
of music for a while, and it was
like,
really difficult?
I was really like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, I have to do something. So if there's a tune that's out there that captures, some kind of frustrating thing or some joyful thing that's happening, a sad thing, I'll learn it, and it's like, oh wow, that's a true story for me. It's like Frank Sinatra talks about that. Like, I can sing this song because I live this song, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't quite find a tune that's echoing what's going on in my being. It's like, I got a complicated mythology here. It's like I'm a recovering Christian. I'm an acid head. I'm in recovery from drugs. I'm also a Buddhist. It's like, wow, this is really narrowed, really into the blues genre. It's like, wow, you got about like 50 or 40 songs that are really kind of like in that on the planet. So I got to write some new ones every once in a while. And so I do that from time to time. And it was weird. I thought, man, I'd be writing more over the pandemic. And I heard this interview on the BBC.
That was one of my questions.
Right.
I was going to ask how
Well,
you
I wrote
what
half
you
a
did
song.
during COVID.
I wrote this great song that kind of comforted me, but I didn't have a verse for it. It was about everything's going to be all right, man. Sort of talking to myself. And I heard this interview with this classical guy on BBC. He said, I just wasn't inspired until like a couple weeks ago, and this was like a couple months ago when things started opening up again. And I was so consoled by that. I was like, oh right, like this is kind of like this downtime. And it's a sort of a budding Buddhist here. It's like we go on these meditation retreats, and I'm like, wow, is this like a big... This is what you get for studying Buddhism. It's like, oh, right, I get to sit there and meditate in my room for a year or whatever it was. But so, yeah, I write songs from time to time. And, it's funny, though. I was playing that great Bruce Cockburn tune that's the Jerry Garcia band.
I love Bruce Cockburn.
Yeah, and Waiting on a Miracle. And I was like, this captures the whole thing of like, we're waiting on the vaccine. We're waiting on like this thing to, finally pass out. And I hope people are getting the vaccine and, not sneezing on each other or whatever and wearing masks and all that stuff. But,
that's a great record. It's Coburn's "Waiting on a Miracle" is essentially a compilation of most of his great stuff from the late '60s
and that
up
tune
until.
Is perfect. You listen to it; it's about working and waiting in the hot sun, and here it comes. It's like there's hardships in the world, and if you look at the arc of 13.7 billion light years old, the universe, it's like, hey, let's give it a minute. We'll give it a year. Give it 2 years.
We tend to expect things to happen more quickly than they do.
Why didn't these people text me back? It's been 20 seconds.
Right. Yes, for sure. All right.
They happen too quickly.
The song that you mentioned, "It's Going to Be All Right." We spoke about it. I was going to play it on the way out of here when you were leaving, but I think I'd rather have you maybe play it in the studio, and I'll pick something else. What do you think? Or no?
It's much better on the recorded version.
Okay.
Because it's so much stuff. I'll play another one for you here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we'll do one for Dusty Hill, the bass player from ZZ Top.
Yeah, for sure. Just passed
Not
last
to be
week.
too morose. We did one for the ancestors, but I don't do many weddings. I do a lot of. I do more burials. I'll do your funeral. I know a lot of death songs.
There's a gentleman here in town. His name is Alan Loshbaugh, and he was a fantastic bass player and a really prolific musician. Played with lots of our gang around here for many, many years, and he passed away just a month and a half ago or so.
We'll
maybe 2 months. But anyway, his band, or one of the bands that he performed with, played last night. The Fried Crawdaddies, of course, last night. They play First Fridays typically down there at Rose Park. But missing out on Mr. Alan Loshbaum, and we all miss him around here. And that's part of the deal. You come, and then you got to go at some point. You never know when it might be, so enjoy it while you got it. You know,
seasons come, seasons go.
That's right, baby.
All right, so may I ask? Let's get another song from you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And we'll come back and talk a little bit more with the Reverend Freakchild. It's Mike, and you're listening to Open Mic Radio on KOPN Columbia 89.5 FM. Once again on the web at kopn.org. Stick around after this program. We've got Ra Shumba and a reggae party coming from 6 until 8, and then Blues on Broadway 8 to 11. But for now, we've got the Reverend Freakchild in the studio with us here, and I'm pretty psyched about it, pulling out his little harmonica brace there, and we'll get right to it.
Yeah, so we'll send this out to your friend you were talking about, who's a bass player, and also the bass player Dusty Hill for ZZ Top. And
you bet.
Maybe anybody. So anybody else that's passed away that was holding down the bottom end? Anyway, there's a little one. I say now Jesus just left Chicago, and they're bound for New Orleans. I say now Jesus just left Chicago, and they're bound for New Orleans. Well, they work at one point to the other, yeah, and all points in between. Well, now I took a jump to Mississippi and turned that muddy water into wine. Say I took a jump to Mississippi, turning muddy waters into holy wine. Yeah. Well, it flows out to California, yeah, to the far side of the plain. Take me with you, Jesus. You might not see him in person, yeah, but he'll see you just the same. I say now you might not see him in person, but he'll see you just the same. Yeah, but you don't have to worry, 'cause taking care of business is his name. I said, now you don't have to worry, 'cause taking care of business is his name. I said, now you don't have to worry, 'cause taking care of business is his name. Can I get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah! I love it.
Oh, amen.
Hey, Rev, are you familiar with a blues player who passed quite a few years ago? His name was Chris Whitley.
Oh, sure.
You remind me that your style is a little bit like Chris Whitley.
That's funny that you are talking about him. I'm working up a tune called Dust Radio of his.
I love it. That was a great record. It might have been the name of the record.
And produced by Daniel Lanois.
Oh man, what an album! That whole album is great. I like one called "Kick the Stones." It's on that record.
Totally.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that this is the tradition I kind of like to see myself in. It's like, white boy that grew up in modern America, but drawing on the blues respectfully, not being like, "Hey, I got the blues." No. Yeah, I got the blues like everybody, but the blues is its own thing. I'm taking that as a touchstone, and I'm trying to express my own experience. And I think Chris Whitley was exactly like that, right? I mean, he would do Doors covers and Bob Dylan tunes and his own tunes, and then you'd be like, this guy, it all works.
Yeah. He was so good.
Thank you for that. That's like a super compliment.
Hey, I definitely heard it.
Yeah, there's a great tune, Dust Radio, which is this.
On Dust Radio.
Oh my God, it's just
and he does a real cool
tune.
falsetto thing now and again and stuff. His vocals are great.
And then the production with Lanois to end, it's just...
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I trying to do this song? Because it's like I said, it's a tune that speaks to me. Like, it's not like, I'm going to do a better version. It's like, dude, thank you for this song. It speaks to me, and when I sing it, I feel better.
Yeah.
And hopefully people around me feel
It's
better.
an expression of what comes from your heart.
Exactly.
That's what counts.
And that's what I don't
mean to give you a tough question, but I mean, if it's one that you want to play, I mean, I don't know if you're there
I'm working
yet.
it up.
Okay.
Exactly. Next, I keep on thinking that's been on the next album for I think the last 3 albums. It's like, wow, how do I treat this? I mean, if I had to, you talking about dream gig would be a recording session with Daniel Lanois.
Damn.
I mean, I was a huge fan of you.
He's a brilliant producer.
Amazing.
And I love his music, too.
And he worked with
Arcadia is a great album, by the way.
Exactly. They don't know he's a great songwriter and a singer and guitar player himself,
Yeah.
And he has the sensibility
really
to work with other artists in that way, Apparently started in his mom's basement.
I think he worked with a lot of people that people don't realize that was Lanois behind some of that stuff. It's like, because he worked with a whole bunch of different folks in a lot of different genres of music.
Even Dylan, Oh Mercy, one of my favorite Dylan albums.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, amazing guy. So that would be my dream gig.
That's awesome. All right. The Reverend Freakchild in the studio with me and Kurt this afternoon. It's Open Mic Radio. We're about 4:45 now, 4:50 or so in the afternoon. It is Saturday, 7th of August. Time flies. I was thinking about next week, but we've got Big Cat Matt and the Rockabilly Corner.
Great show.
Oh yeah, once a month. This time slot, 4 to 6 on Saturday, is shared between myself and Matt. So next week, the second Saturday of every month, Rockabilly Corner with Big Cat Matt Deal. And if you like rockabilly music, this kid knows it down, man, and up and sideways, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of great music. 4 to 6 next week with Rockabilly Corner and Big Cat Matt. I'll be back the weekend after that, and I don't know what we'll be doing, but we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. We got the Reverend Freakchild in with us this afternoon.
Moment, baby. Stay in the moment.
Yeah, and let's mention again the B-side record.
6 p.m. I want to head down there, see what's happening, and you're more than welcome to join us. I will be taking calls, playing albums. I don't know.
1122 Wilkes Boulevard. Speaking of taking calls, I typically do. So I kind of leave leave the number open, and 573-443-8255. And if I can grab it, I will. And give us a call. Let us know what's happening out there.
I know you leave both open.
Yeah, the lumber and the number. Hey, you're fly. All right. Okay. So. Before we play, I would like to have. I like to get as much music as we can, for sure. But I got questions about recording.
Oh, sure.
And new material. Okay, so first of all, when did you record your first, what you would consider your first sort of record?
Under the name Reverend Freakchild. That was in. Was that? I was so out of my mind on drugs. We recorded a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
But I didn't put out an album under the name Reverend Freakchild until 2010, which was a bona fide album on a label.
Right.
It was like all these like crazy things where it was.
I'm sure you recorded all kinds of material.
Yeah, exactly. And put them out as demos, and it was like Him Hustler was an album that I put out that was like, I printed them up myself and sold them on the streets when on gigs I was playing.
Right.
But not until 2020.
Well, that's part of the travel of a musician, right? You got to do it for a while or almost.
We're actually putting out an album from a 90s band that I used to play in, a jam band. This is when I thought I was disabused myself recently, being a jazz musician. It was like, I'm still holding on to that. Like, oh man, I could be a jazz cat, man. It's like, no, dude, you don't have the chops for that. So, and I play with some of these jazz cats, and it's a joy because they just play circles around me. And I'm like, wow, this is like Bad Water makes its own sauce. This is awesome. These guys are so amazing.
I don't have to do much.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll just start it off and get the vibe, and then they're like having fun with it. I'm like, wow.
Well, and the best part is that 9 out of 10 of the people that are watching and enjoying the music think you're as good as everybody as the rest of them.
Well, I think I can tell some good stories and sing some good songs, right? Exactly. I can hold my own, man. But some of these cats are just like, I'm not going to try to keep up with these dudes. I go over to Europe, and it's just like, I'm like, we don't need a rehearsal. I'm just going to make you sound worse, man. Like, you guys do your thing, man. Like, play these places, and it's nice. And the American,
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, cool.
I guess the country scene is making a huge deal in Europe now.
Oh, yeah.
They go crazy over country music.
I opened up for what was it? It's like an Eagles cover band or something. It was just
the Eagles again.
It was very. Yeah, I don't. I was having a really bad trip on acid, and my friend picked me up, and I was going back to my folks' house. I was must be like 17, and somebody told me, like, it was like that scene out of the Big Lebowski. It was like, man, I hate the Eagles, man. I had a really bad day, man. But it was like, somebody told me, one of my sister's friends was like, man, if you're ever tripping on acid and have a bad trip, listen to the Eagles. So I was like, we got in my friend's car. I was like, dude, thanks for picking me up, man. I can't face my parents. I'm tripping out. I was like, do you have any Eagles? He's like, Eagles? And he was like, yeah, the band, man, the band. And he was like, yeah, put it on. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got some. And I was like, no, this is not working.
This is not right.
So he's like, listen, I have something for you, man.
Oh, my God.
Put on the freaking Beatles. And it's all that positive thing, like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And then, of course, George Martin with all the psychedelic stuff, you're like, dude, did you ever hear that, like, oboe in the second verse of that tune? I mean, it just comes in for, like, one little thing. And you're like, wow. So that saved my life.
Well, if anybody heard it, he probably did. He's sort of a Beatles aficionado over here.
Changed everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will also say...
whole new trip.
Right.
Yeah.
We do have sort of a running Eagles joke on the program.
Yeah.
So and it just sort of happened, organically there. So I like the way that happened, actually. So.
And then he kicks the Big Lebowski out of his cab.
Still flying
high. All right. Let's see.
Anyway, hey, I gotta, for now for something completely different.
Yes.
Not so completely different, but I have to acknowledge. I mean, I see you wearing some tie-dye colors, and I got my colors on today.
Yeah.
It's the days between, right? Jerry Garcia, born on August 1st, died on August 9th. Mm-hmm. So, a little shout out to all the deadheads out there.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was staying with my cousin.
Jerry
Bear, yeah. And I was staying with my cousin in Warrensburg, and I said, dude, it's the days between. And he was like, what? I was like, all right, not everybody's a deadhead. Like, not everybody trips on an amazing, LSD back
but
in
they
the 80s,
are. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing about that is, when I was a teenager, I got turned on to the dead, and, we're smoking pot or whatever. And somebody's, like, putting on, an album with Big Boss Man on it, right? And it's a bootleg. And I'm like, oh, wow, Jimmy Reed tune. And they're like, no, man, this is, like, Pigpen. This is the Grateful Dead. I'm like, no.
Right.
They're doing a Jimmy Reed tune. That's not their tune. And it's just like, oh, wow. So actually, on this Bodhisattva Blues album, which was the album that we put out right before the pandemic hit.
That's a great name, by the way. That's an excellent name for a record. Yeah.
So, and, like the Bodhisattva, like the Steely Bodhisattva. Would you go me by the hand?
Was that the Police or
Steely Dan?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's Bodhisattva is like a Buddha in training. It's like it's a very aspirational. For
yeah.
So anyway, so I don't know what we were talking about. What were we talking about?
See, that's what that Buddha stuff does. It just clears your mind.
In between.
Right.
Days in between.
That's right. We're staying in the moment here. So, yeah, the days in between, and that whole...
That's what makes them in between.
And the Bodhisattva Blues became this thing. I was talking about this guitars getting smashed to ground, and I bought this, which is the silver lining of that story. And I couldn't write even a tune about it. And I met up with this Boulder poet, and he helped me sort of, work through that. It was just brutal, man. And we wrote this tune called Hippie Bluesman Blues, which is on that vinyl that I gave you there to dial it in. And then I needed somebody to, like, play the lead on it, and nobody was really cutting it. And so I approached Mark Caron, who used to play in Rat Dog. I don't know if you guys how much of Deadheads you are. It's kind of the more bluesy version of the Grateful Dead after Garcia died.
Yeah.
And Bob Weir's project. And Mark Caron and I just hit it off, and because we were both big fans of the blues. I mean, we could talk about Albert King, and Little Milton and all these guys, these amazing blues players. And we were both fascinated. He had actually done a project called Deep Dead Blues. And I said, man, I'm just got a couple blues tunes that I'm thinking like we could bring back. Like one was Big Boss Man, and we got Melvin Seals to play on it, which was just amazing because he just sort of like,
oh my god,
like David Gann says, it's just like it's like playing with a gigantic catcher's mitt. You're just like, oh, this is so nice in here. You know, you're like, wow, I feel so. It's like open and free, but also very padded. It's perfect analogy because 100-mile-an-hour ball where you're playing with Jerry Garcia or whatever, and it's just caught very carefully and then thrown right back to you.
Nice.
And you hear, and I'm telling you, I was on the phone with Melvin at one point. And we were very, very professional, and he was like, so you want me to do, like, gospel feel over, like, blues changes? I was like, yeah, man, we're trying to get this, like, Reverend Freakchild thing, which is, like, fine line between Saturday night and Sunday morning. It's like the blues and gospel speak the same language, but it's, like, different expressions.
I like it, yeah.
And he was like, all right, cool. And then, about 5 minutes later, after we talked some other business stuff and just a couple other tunes we were talking about, because I sent the tracks out to San Francisco so he could do it at his own studio. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was gushing. I was like, dude, man, I used to listen to you, man. I had this like one recording. And he's like, yeah, man, we're all just people, man. It's all cool. And I was like, sorry about that, man. I just like super fan, I was like, so I got to work with these guys. And if I had been like still bitter, and I still kind of am bitter, but I have this like compassion for these junkies or whoever stole my stuff, like. And it was weird, it was actually on the anniversary of one of my years getting sober back then. I think it was my 13th anniversary. And I was like, thanks, higher power. You got a great sense of humor. And I'm filling out the police report in the police station. And I thought, I had this really, like, it was like the eye of the storm, like this calm moment in this craziness. This moment of gratitude of like, wow, at least I've been on the other side of those bars. At least I'm not the guy stealing somebody's stuff. Like, if I kept using and shucking and jiving, like I was, man, and, so
yeah, it's a reminder, Oh,
it was a painful reminder, man. And then I made the best of it, like what you're saying. Nobody likes the smashed lemons, but you got to do something with them, and so it turned out to be this amazing thing. So I'm like friends with all these guys. So I think that's the next album. Just in sort of that's a long answer to your question of like things. During the pandemic, I put this thing called Supra-Mundane Blues, which is a bunch of tunes that made me feel good.
Did you say Supra?
Supra, exactly.
Yeah.
See, you got a good ear, man. Yeah. It's not super, not above the mundane, but inside the mundane.
Right.
Because that's what the whole pandemic was. It was like, okay, here I am with myself again. I'm drinking this cup of coffee. And then you like, for people that have turned on are like, wow, dude, check out this cup of coffee. Wow. Or people that have meditated for 20 years, they take that moment in, and it's huge once you get inside there, But from a lot of people, like, oh my God, this is so boring. You're like, dude, just look out your window, man. There's like a lot of stuff going on.
So where do you record? Do you have a home studio, or do you record at somebody else's place? Or
it's almost like I used to have a home studio, and it was just like 24/7. It was like, dude, I can't do that because it's just too much. And I got GarageBand, and I can put phone notes and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
It's just like you can't stop from doing it. But formal studio in outside of Boulder called Altitude Recording, and this guy Steve-O, who's just great. He's done a lot of like avant-garde albums. So the stuff that I come up with, I think I'm going to do a straight ahead version of Big Boss Man. We'll bring it back to the original, and people listen to it and like, dude, this is really tripped out version. I'm like, God, that sounds normal to me. Like he's totally into it because he's like done these avant-garde like noise albums and stuff. He's like, so we did not only a bunch of tunes that were straight up and sent up to like Reverend Sean Hamos and Mark Caron and people just around the country during the pandemic, and they were at their home studios and other studios that they could be socially distanced at. They sent them back to us, and then we mixed them, sent some stuff back to New York to Hugh Poole. Brought it all back. Had this guy, David Glasser, who's done a lot. He actually just did
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, Skeletons from the Closet remastering. A lot of Grateful Dead stuff. So that was a joy to like kind of work with him on the final, project of it, and really tuning into that. I just never was okay with being a Deadhead, and finally meeting all these guys, I was like, I guess it's time. We did a version of Big Boss Man and Friend of the Devil, and we actually did a version of Black Peter for all the Deadheads out there. That's a deep cut. I don't know how the Grateful Dead got away with that, playing that song since like 1970, whatever it was.
Right.
And apparently it was about, everybody thinks it's about, being at somebody's deathbed, but apparently the story is that Robert Hunter got dosed twice. So he was really tripping out, and Garcia kind of tended to him in the wee hours of the morning, and he had this sort of like near-death experience, I guess, himself, And I was like, oh, right. Hey, man, that's my speed. The sadness, the joy, it's all together, man, It's like sad joy, so strange stuff. So, yeah, we did a whole bunch of tunes and put a version of Imagine on there, sort of this classic rock, kind of like revisiting. But I felt like I could do it because these are the actual guys,
right?
And some of my friends are like,
right.
"You actually got Melvin Seals on here?
That's amazing,
Freakchild. Like you're like the real deal." I was like, "Yeah, just because I act like a crazy person doesn't mean that I can't put out amazing music."
I love it. I love it. All right, we are just top of the hour now. It's 5:00 on Saturday. Yeah, the 7th of August, 2021. Got Kurt with me. Got the Reverend Freakchild in the studio with us this afternoon, playing some songs for us, which I am totally thrilled that we get to hear. I love it. I during the whole pandemic, we couldn't do much of this either. It was one person by themselves in the studio was all it was allowed. So it's great to have live music back in the studio with me this afternoon, and we get to have our own little private concert here. We got Sarah and Josh listening from the other room, and we're glad to have the Reverend here with us this afternoon. So let's play another one. You want to play another one for us?
Well, since we were invoking the good old Grateful Dead, this was their first single, believe it or not. First thing that they ever put out.
Really?
Little different version here.
And it's like this would be late 60s, I guess. Yeah. All right. Okay, Reverend Freakchild here, Open Mic Radio, KOPN Columbia.
Tear loose from the axis and searchlight casting for faults in the clouds of delusion. Or shall we go, you and I, while we can? The transitive nightfall of diamonds. shattered into formless reflections of matter and glass and dissolving into ice petal flowers revolving and leave in velvet recedes into the nights of goodbye. Or shall we go, you and I, while we can? Through the transitive nightfall of diamond.
Wow.
Right on.
Damn, dude.
Still working up that one. Still working up
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. I'd say you don't have a whole lot of work
Dark
left.
Star there.
That is outrageous.
It's kind of the country blues
Fantastic.
thing.
Very good, man.
Holy
Blues,
cow.
kind of Indian kind of
Wow.
feel
That was a
there a
treat.
little bit. Trippy there.
Well, if you're tuned into the program this afternoon, you got a treat, and maybe you weren't expecting it, and I wasn't sure, frankly, what to
You've just
expect.
heard
I
Dark Star.
heard a couple things from the Rev before I walked in here today, but I was thrilled to hear that. Let me tell you,
Right on,
fantastic.
right on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I watched that new Amazon thing over the pandemic. It's a whole series on like Garcia and really kind of its descent into serious drug addiction. But there's a great scene where Bob Weir and his wife drive out to see Hunter and ask him about those lyrics. And it's after one of his little solo gigs, and people, I guess most Deadheads, I guess apparently there's some infamous tour where Robert Hunter got booed as the opening act of the Jerry Garcia band.
Why?
Because he's not that great a
I'd say this wasn't that
but he's
great.
a brilliant lyricist, right?
Great lyricist.
Right,
Yeah.
and so there he's playing a little like acoustic solo gig, and there he is, gray-haired, like sitting backstage, and Bob says, somebody was asking me again about the meaning of that Dark Star lyrics or something like that, to that effect, and he just. Robert Hunter just puts his hands behind his head, sort of leans back on this little couch, recites the lyrics, and then turns to Bob and says, "Is there any
There's
question?"
no other explanation.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
What more do you need?
Exactly, that's exactly what he said.
You know the answer.
You're like, I can't tell you anymore. That's. I was like, yeah, it's like the thing, man. Like he put that psychedelic experience into words, and like God
Amazing.
bless him for doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Anyway, fantastic piece of music there. All right, we've got the Reverend Freakchild in the studio with us this afternoon. Thrilled to have him here. You can catch him again
B-side,
on
right?
the B-side of the street over there on 1122 Wilkes, B-side Records,
Probably.
around 6 o'clock, maybe a little after that.
Yeah, probably. We'll see. Probably be heading down there pretty soon.
Yeah, we're gonna.
It's
We're gonna.
close.
We'll,
though.
we'll yeah, it's
Six-ish.
very close. Yeah, just a few minutes.
Ish.
Anyway,
Ish.
6-ish. He'll be down there playing, and back here in the studio with our friend Chris for Blues on Broadway. I'm not sure how much time you'll spend with Chris, but whatever. It's going to be awesome this evening too.
No, it's great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, man. I first time I came to Colombia, I brushed up on my Spanish, but and all my friends are like, dude, just cut the jokes out.
I like
not
it.
with the good.
So, but
Frustrated community.
now you're in between gigs, or why are you here anyway? You make your home in Colorado, so you're here in mid-Missouri. What brought you here?
I kind of do these. The Buddhists, they'll take a sacred object and they'll, with their right side to it, they'll circumambulate the object, right? A holy relic or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I went back to graduate school and studied Tibetan Buddhism, and you really lost your mind when you're doing that. Making the most midlife crisis doing that.
That's crazy. You can get a degree in it.
You're just,
I was gonna say, when you're actually getting a degree
you're
in
buying
it,
a
that's
car,
when
or
you
having a drug problem or something. I was never really into fast cars, and I already had a drug problem, so I'm like, let's go back to school.
Did you ever think about just going back to Tibet?
Well, I went to India, and that changed my life, and
Close
that's why
enough.
I went to school. I went actually with this enlightened master, Bernie Glassman, and this guy who runs Buddhist pilgrimages since like 1986 at the request of Thich Nhat Hanh, Shantam Seth, and that changed my life. And so I was like, wow, I can't really go back. I keep getting called. You know, a lot of times preachers or holy people talk about having a calling.
Right.
So Buddhism is all about, there's sort of these three trainings.
The shaman.
Yeah, exactly. There's a shamanistic kind of like strangeness that's going on, but to ground it, you go do these three trainings, which is like study, meditation, and then conduct. And how you conduct yourself. They call it discipline or
And these are lifelong goals
exactly.
and practices.
So I went back to graduate school to really get a step up. I've always, this is the time you read a 1,000-page book on, Buddhist philosophy. It's like, okay, you need to take some time off to do that. You can't really do that in your spare time. It's like, all right, I need to take like 3 months and read.
And
this
it's
thing
sort of dense reading.
Yeah, like the
it's
Bodhicharyavatara. It's like in verse, and you need a teacher to like kind of explain it to you, and then you got to spend time with it and write papers on it and stuff like that. So anyway, long answer to your question, like being on the road, I've done this thing. Like, geez, this is the 7th summer I've done this. It's sort of like these circumambulating the United States. I start off in Colorado, go back east, do the Northeast, do the South. Go to the West Coast, up the West Coast, and then back to Colorado. One time I went through Montana.
And performing along the way.
Performing, radio shows, whatever's there.
Right.
Sometimes it's national parks. Sometimes it's just howling at the moon.
Right.
It's like
whatever you get, wherever
exactly.
you can do it.
Like it's and sometimes there's huge gigs, festival gigs. And sometimes it's like come to a radio station, just hang out with you guys. So I'll just take it all on the path. So. This time around, it was a little strange, with the things opening up, and okay, friends of mine, like I saw Melvin's out and the Grateful Dead. Melvin C was out, he's out, right? He's touring around, and I saw Dead and Co. has got a bunch of dates that are starting up, and they're ending in the fall. So I thought, if they're doing it, I think that's cool. That's a huge show. I mean, I'm lucky if I was down at in Kansas City at Carl Butler's Gospel Lounge on Thursday night.
Nice.
And it was like 12 people. I was like, perfect. I feel comfortable. Everybody's socially distanced here. This is the payoff for not really having a big following. Like, okay, we all feel comfortable. Whatever. So, and like I said, it's a tough sell. People think, oh, what is this, like Christian rock? I'm like, yeah, not really. And then the old time guys are like, oh, what is it, like blues reverence? I'm like, yeah, not really. It's like I'm in my own little genre there. Or something.
I like it though.
So you sync it up so you can go to some of the other shows.
Exactly.
A little bit.
Right. And, one year I caught Dead and Co. down in Atlanta when I was on tour, and that was great.
Yeah.
That was the first time I really enjoyed Billy and Mickey playing. Most times it was like bathroom break,
Right. For drums in space?
But this
way.
was the best. And I God bless John
That's where
Mayer.
it just starts getting good.
I really appreciate John Mayer and what he's doing, but he's just not my flavor.
I got to say, I'm with you on that.
He sounds like he's got to go to the bathroom every time. Oh, Casey Jones, I gotta go. And then he's a great blues player, and I appreciate that. He's really studied on some of that.
So you prefer the Trey version of it?
I prefer. I was the kind of guy and went and saw Jerry Garcia, and I was a little.
I'd rather have Jerry there.
Well, I was a little
myself.
disappointed.
Always,
I was
but,
like, what was it like with Pigpen? I'm 2 steps back from everybody. I'm like, people go, Pigpen, who's that? I'm like, oh my God, let me turn you on to some real music, boy.
Right.
Because one time somebody said to me, he's like, oh, Grateful Dead, that's just country music for people like LSD. And I was like, well, what about Pigpen then? Like, where do you put Pigpen in that equation? Here's a guy who was the front man for this band, because these guys were too geeking out, beautiful musicians, but they were like, oh man, you go up and sing a song, man. Like Jerry. And Pigpen could do it, and Pigpen's dad was a DJ apparently, so he knew all the race records apparently at the time. And people don't realize how revolutionary that was at that time. Late 60s, mid 60s, a band of freaks traveling around with illegal drugs, and weird colors, and a guy fronting the band playing black blues tunes.
Blues tunes.
It's crazy. People were like, "What is the circus has come to town?" It was dangerous. So that was what really attracted me. And hearing things like when I was a kid.
And you know what? If you didn't want to run off with the circus when you were a kid,
Go to the Dead.
You weren't worth your salt.
I remember going in the 80s, it was like there was more people outside the shows than inside the shows, but I had so fallen in love with the early Grateful Dead when Pigpen was around. I must have played before I knew that there was bootlegs. It was like down at my local record store. This is before the internet, kids.
Long
like
before.
You had to go make friends with people and get the bootlegs and actually on tapes. But I went down to the local record store and you could get Live Dead, which was the album that they put out.
Yeah.
Yes,
and it had that was like amazing. This crazy Dark Star Jam, 11, and Saint Stephen, and then it ended up with like Love Light, and then to the feedback, and we bid you good night. Actually, we put and we bid you good night on the Bodhisattva Blues as the end closer.
There you go.
Some people got it, but of course I stop and I say, Jesus loves you the best, or I'd say, hey, whatever your higher power is, if it's Muhammad or Allah or Yahweh or Shiva or what, hey man, whatever floats your boat. A little more socially, religiously economical. That's what the Dalai Lama says. It's sort of religious harmony. Yeah. People killing each other. We're supposed to have these religions to like have fun and enjoy life, not kill each other.
Well,
come on.
I've been fascinated for years and frightfully so. I mean, the fact Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, these all come from the same damn book.
See,
it's
they're
crazy.
People of the book, and they even call them because they're all the father of Abraham.
It's absolutely
and then it makes sense, right? Because brother on brother violence is the worst.
That's right, Cain and Abel. Baby.
I got a sister
all the way back down to the one.
I got a sister who would test the patience of Jesus. I'm telling you.
I think we all have all of us with sisters,
right.
perhaps.
It's like, oh my God. God bless them. God bless them.
God bless those sisters out there. If you're a sister out there, don't take offense. All right. It's Mike, and you're listening to Open Mic Radio on KOPN Columbia. I've got the Reverend Freakchild in the studio with me and Kurt.
It's been great being here with you all
this afternoon. I'm looking at the clock. I think I'm probably going to get one more song out of you, and then we'll set you free, and you can go down to B-Side Records and get things set up over there.
What's that? Now again, you're saying "Set Me Free," like that Diana Ross. That was.
I was thinking of Sting. Free, set them.
That's a beautiful.
He did a whole Bodhisattva thing for a while. I think Sting was a
it's a tall
Buddhist
order,
practitioner.
man. Yeah, you get into that.
I said for a while.
Right, exactly. You're like, whoa. Apparently, there was some lama that traveled around with the Grateful Dead. Like Bob Weir hired him, and he was like, quit because he's like, dude, nobody is doing any meditating or work here. Everybody's just smoking and be like, cool, man. Om Shanti.
Meditation is when you're on stage.
Right. That's a moving meditation. That's wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
So and music is definitely a conduit into the.
Oh my gosh! I mean, and even though I'm not I play a little bit, but nothing that.
Well, and I have a respect for you playing the board. I did a little bit of guest DJing back in Boulder at KGNU, and they have a blues show.
I know the station. I'm familiar with the station. Yeah.
Right. Because you said you spent some time in Boulder. It's with the I guess it was the Arapaho up there in Chief Left Hand, Chief Niwot. Anyway, sorry. Tuning back into the...
I digress.
Right, I very digress. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, so I have total respect for you guys because I've done some guest DJing. One of my friends was like, just play the board like an instrument. I was like, no, I'm not good at that instrument. Like, I play guitar all day long because I've been playing since a kid. Right. But, like, I'm like, oh, my God, what's going on here? Like, I have basic audio stuff for being a musician, like... the stuff's on. Okay, great. We can hear something coming out of the speaker. Right. But it's an amazing thing. You're driving like it's like a spaceship, man.
Yeah, a little bit of an art to it, like anything, I guess.
Definitely,
so,
man.
Yeah. Well, I love to do it, and I'm and this is one of the reasons why I love to do it. I'm so glad that I can because I get to have these types of experiences with people like you and get to share it with our listeners.
And I seriously thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me here because I'll listen to these community stations and stations that are free form, as they say, or different formats, and just randomly. And it's like a DJ saved my life last night. Like sometimes you're just like out there and you're feeling all alone. And this guy, there's this guy. Glenn Gould, that my mom's a big fan of, classical pianist, and apparently he would go into recording sessions and he would even have the engineer leave because he thought the ultimate artist to audience ratio was 1 to 0.
Really?
Like he was speaking to God, right, through his piano playing. But I think a DJ is like that. Like, I don't know if somebody's listening or not, but I'm going to send this vibe out to the world, And sometimes I'll tune in like that and be like, this guy's just putting out a good vibe.
Yeah.
And you're connecting the songs like a computer can't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this dude recorded on this thing in 1973, and then he came back in 83 and recorded with this other guy, but it was the same song, and you're like, oh my God, that totally makes sense, Not only on the practical level, but also spiritual level.
Yeah, and I actually have the experience of that happening where, musicians talk about being in the groove, and runners or athletes sometimes talk about being in the zone or in the flow or whatever. Well, I think that happens anytime you're doing something that you really like, and it doesn't happen all the time, but once in a while. And I've had that happen here as a radio person where I don't know, it's just flowing and it just works.
Nice.
And I'll pick songs that I didn't even think might work together, but they
Right.
totally did.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's just like, wow, it all worked, you know?
And just working with what we got. They say co-creating with the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just going with the flow.
And it's a little disorienting for people out there. You know, it's like, oh my God, what was that? It was going really fast and really slow. And it was like, there was no past and future. And I was like, yeah, man, you're in the flow.
Wow,
You're in the
boy,
flow,
and it's
baby.
like, and that's a nice place to be.
Yeah. And it's like, of course, people keep. I ran after that through drugs for years. It was like, wow,
Right.
I'm really spending a lot of money trying to see.
right. Turns out that doesn't work either.
Right, and
Yeah.
a little something, hey, whatever, you know. But it's like, I just was out of my mind, you know. And I actually, part of the Master of Divinity that I'm working on in Europa is to do an internship, and I went up to rehab, and I mean, these kids are just suffering under these opioids and dude, back in the day, you know, it was like you had to pack a bowl or actually roll a joint. Here, it's like pop a pill, pop a pill, pop a pill. It's like,
Right.
whoa, and those are so strong.
Oh, my God.
And the meth and the, you know, even just booze is so easy to drink. So I just had to get off all of it, you know, and it's a daily struggle. I wake up and have to, you know, pray, meditate. I was doing that today, just listen to the breeze blow. And it's so antithetical because you think, my New Yorker mind is always like, seriously, you're going to sit here and just breathe? Do you think that's going to do anything for you, dude? And it's like,
Well, yeah, it
thank
will,
you so
actually.
much for that voice. Thanks for sharing. And you sit there for 20 minutes, and then you're like, oh, my God, where'd my anxiety and my fear and my frustration go? Like, it kind of left. And, of course, it comes back like, hey, here I am right here, if you want to deal with it. And you're like, oh, God. But it's very strange. It just, as humans, we can just sit and be, you know. It's very strange. I have a llama who says, are you human doing or you human being? I was like, dude,
Interesting.
it's an advantage that you don't speak English very well. You can see it from the outside, like, oh, okay, that's very simple teaching. So
I met a guy in a train station in Germany back in like 1989. I was living there at the time, and it's a whole nother story, the Berlin Wall and all this stuff. And I was working for the U.S. government, and anyway.
Oh, das ist gut.
Yeah, das war gut, yeah. And anyway, I met this guy named Christian who was immigrating from Eastern Germany, trying to get to Lonsdale, London.
oh, weird.
And I met him in the Munich train station, and he didn't speak very good English. And he asked me, I speak very good German, but he asked me if I would speak English to him to try to help him, because we were just sitting in the train station waiting for a train. And he said to me, we were talking about being in bed or being asleep, and he said, "Do you sleeping or do you awake?"
I know, I love that. Sometimes in translation,
you just totally brought it back to me
Right.
with your comment before. I thought that's sort of the same
It takes
thing.
like an
there.
outsider to like look in on the language, and we're like, wow, we use this language, and like, oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Am I sleeping? Am I awake? And of course, that's a big Buddhist thing. Like, are you awake?
Right. Well, we're awake this afternoon, or at least reasonably so. And I'm awake enough to look at the clock and say I've got time for one more from
All
the
right.
Reverend Freakchild.
Let's do it, man.
I am absolutely thrilled that you came down this afternoon.
Great
and
to be
Pleasure
here with
having
you all.
you.
Oh my God, very nice. You know, it's really nice hanging, and I hope people are just out there enjoying their summer, man. You know, listening and loving. And
Well, I'm looking
just
at my
being.
little map here, and there's certainly lots and lots of dots all over the map. And these are the people that are listening online. I don't know how many people are listening over the traditional airwaves. I'm hoping that there are plenty.
Yeah,
we
right
have a
on.
reasonably decent listenership
Well,
to this
keep
show.
listening to
Yeah.
KOPN, and if you need some more Reverend Freakchild, just type that into your electronic symphonic replicator. You know, some tunes and videos and things will come up. You know?
Yeah, let's do a song, and before you leave, we'll get contact information and all that other kind of stuff, and we'll do our proper goodbyes.
Awesome. Well, you know, since we've been talking about a little bit of Buddhist stuff and Dharma teachings, this is a tune that I wrote. There's these four things that turn one's mind towards the Dharma, and the Dharma is really like the Buddhist teachings, but it's really like the nature of reality.
Yeah, just
and
life in the world.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it is. First is life, precious human life. You know, we have this precious human life. We think, oh, what a drag, man. But it's like, actually, they say that it's like the whole world was water, and there was one little yoke. You know how they used to put yokes on like mules and stuff. I guess they still do. You know,
Like a collar.
farming out here. But then when there's one yoke on the whole planet, and a turtle every 10,000 years comes up and puts its head through it. It's like that's what the rarity of having a human birth. This was said a long time ago, but you know, this is like before there was 8
And that was no
billion-
yoke.
Right. Before there was 8 billion people on the planet. But still, you know, it's precious human life if you make something out of it, right? And then the next
Yes.
one is that there's
Yeah.
impermanence, you know. It's like, you know, everything that arises ceases, you know, kind of thing. and then there's karma, and then there's samsara. But those are other things. This is not a teaching. This is not Sunday. What is it, Saturday here?
It's Saturday,
I don't know what you expected to have the Reverend in. You get a little preaching, a little teaching. Hallelujah, amen. Oh, lay your hands on the radio, people. It's going to be all right.
I love it. I love it all.
I wrote myself called All I Got Is Now. Yeah, well, I'm future tripping all night long, yeah. Trying to figure out what might go wrong, yeah. Well, I'm waking up, yeah, and my mind's a mess, that's 'cause I keep forgetting life's preciousness, yeah. 'Cause yesterday's our history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, but I keep forgetting that somehow, yeah. Well, let's all face it, yeah. We all gotta die, yeah. Ain't nobody come back from that except maybe Jesus on high, yeah. Oh, precious impermanence, got an attitude of gratitude, yeah. Just gotta live my life, yeah, and stop asking why, yeah. 'Cause yesterday's a history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, but I keep forgetting that somehow, yeah. Well, now, getting what you want, that's just, and seeking God in yourself, that's just kind of emptiness, yeah. But if you can want just what you get, that's the best thing that my llama said, yeah. 'Cause yesterday's a history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, but I keep forgetting that somehow. Well, just remember, whatever you might do, good, bad, or beautiful, gonna come back on you, yeah. So you find yourself a real hellish place, better appeal to the better angels of your being and move on through that space, yeah. 'Cause yesterday's our history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, yeah. Say yesterday's a history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, yeah. Say yesterday's a history, tomorrow's our mystery, all I got is now, yeah. All we got is now. I said everything is now, man.
Oh, yeah. The Reverend Freakchild. Right on, right on, right on.
It's been a pleasure being hanging with you today, man. Great, catching up, conversation, all that stuff. And I hope everybody was enjoying, and just, enjoy your life, man, and take care of each other, man. It's going to be all right, right?
It's going to be all right. That's one we're going to play here on the way out. Before we do that, we're going to talk about websites, contact information. How do people get a hold of you if they want to check you out or say hi or get you to play a gig, whatever?
There's a website. The label is treatedandreleasedrecords.com. That's treatedandreleasedrecords.com. You hear that on the news. He was treated and released. We thought that was a funny title. But if you just type in Reverend Freakchild, like a freak child and Reverend, something will pop up. Videos and music and all kinds of fun stuff.
Very good. Easy to find him out there in the world. The Reverend Freakchild. Pleasure to have him in the studio with us this afternoon. It was awesome. Great music and a wonderful conversation. You can catch him in about a half an hour at B-Side Records. That's 1122 Wilkes Boulevard right here in lovely Columbia, Missouri. We're probably going to scoot down there in a little bit ourselves. I got to roll until about 6 o'clock here. And I got a couple things I want to talk to you all about. We'll talk about some of the things that are happening in town tonight other than the Reverend Freakchild. There's actually other things happening, even though it's sort of an all-Reverend day here at the station. Anyway, Yeah.
Well, God bless everybody, and thank you so much, my man.
All right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Right on, right on.
Hey, and yeah, we next time you come through town, obviously, right?
Yeah, cool, cool.
All right, cool. All right, let's play one so I can say goodbye, and I'll talk to you all in just a few minutes. It's Mike. You're listening to Open Mic Radio on KOPN Columbia, 89.5 FM. We're streaming on the web, kopn.org. This is the Reverend Freakchild. It's going to be all right.
Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright someday. Deep in my heart, well, I do believe I'll be alright someday. Tell me something. When trouble comes, what you gonna do? Pay it no mind. Gonna be alright someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe I'll be alright someday. Gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe I'll be alright someday. Gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe I'll be alright someday. Gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Gonna be alright someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe I'll be alright someday. I do believe I'll be alright someday.
That's the news from the Reverend Freakchild.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Wow. All right. The Reverend Freakchild. What a thrill.
You know I like the harmonics on that.
How cool. Oh,
like the harmonics.
when he was playing Kurt, I was like, Kurt's got to be completely digging this. In fact, you were looking at it.
Hey, that
and
was
like,
a great Dark Star.
I couldn't believe it.
A steel guitar.
Amazing.
Tell you what.
Yeah. If any
Open
Jer Bear
tuning,
fans
folks.
out there, hope you had a load of that one. It was great. It was fun to listen to and fun to watch. And here at Open Mic Radio, it's about 5:35 on Saturday, the 7th of August. Really fun show this afternoon. Really fun to have the Reverend Freakchild down in the studio with us this afternoon.
Yeah.
And he's heading down to B-Side Records. And if you've
In about a half an hour, he's playing.
he'll be there. He'll be there, in a half an hour, and I think it's gonna be a relatively short set, but you never know. A guy like him can just play all night. It just depends on how long the store wants him wants him to play, I think. So anyway, Reverend Freakchild down there at B-Side Records, 1122 Wilkes Boulevard in Columbia. You can go down there and check it out. It's a free set this afternoon. And then back here in the studio with my friend Chris Perrier on Blues on Broadway. That's 8 o'clock tonight, 8 to 11. I'm not sure exactly how much time the Reverend will spend with Chris, but I think they're friends, and I imagine they'll have a good time tonight as well. So I'll be tuning in. I hope you do too. Okay. So what do you think, Kurt? We better talk about what's happening around town tonight. There are some other things happening. Blue Note, Flatland Cavalry. Know anything about them?
Flatland Cavalry?
No, cavalry.
I thought you said calorie. Flatland Cavalry.
Yeah, I guess that's what we call.
A different kind.
That's what we call corn. That's Flatland Cavalry. Anyway, this is the Flatland Cavalry, and with Kyle Nix, and that's Nix.
What time's that show?
That's
about 7, 8.
No, 9 o'clock show, 8 o'clock doors at the Blue Note.
All right.
They probably are trying not to compete with their pals over there at Rose.
That's a low calorie show.
All right, tonight. Tonight is the Battle of the Bands that we talked about last week. Remember?
Yes.
Okay, so tonight we've got...
There's a lot of armor involved.
Con Man Economy, we got Elephant Foot, Ruby Lane, the Barroom Billies, all of which we sort of featured on the program last week. We heard songs from all those people, and I have to say, I shouldn't say because the show's not coming up, and no one's listening anyway that would really be voting, I don't think. But
they are raising money, correct?
They're raising money for
less fortunate, and
yes, they're called Flourish. Is
help
the name.
Our brothers and sisters out?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great event and a good cause, and I like Elephant Foot. Okay, I didn't say it. Tuesday, August 10th, at Rose, there's an artist named Struggle Jennings. I don't know what to make of it because the image that I'm looking at looks like a WWF wrestler. Is like a man without a shirt on. And he's very, very strong looking, and he's tattooed, and he's making a very evil, grimacing face. Looks very mean and angry. So I don't know what Struggle Jennings might be.
Struggle.
But that's part of it, I guess. The struggle is real. You know that.
Yep.
Okay, live music. The Blue Fugue. I almost had a crazy flashback there. The Blue Stooges. They performed last night. I'm sorry. The Blue Stooges are performing. Okay, let me back up here. Okay, the Blue Stooges are performing today at Cooper's Landing. That's 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock down there by the river, and that'll be a lot of fun. You got good blues music happening down there at Cooper's Landing this afternoon. They're playing again next Friday at the Les Bourgeois Summer Music Series, and that's down at the A-Frame.
Nice.
Down there in Rocheport. They get some great gigs down there. Last night, and they tend to be on Friday nights, so I don't get to say too much about them unless somebody was out there and knows something about what happened and how the show was. I'd love it if you gave us a call here. Whatever you did, if you were out and about last night and you saw live music, give me a call here at the station, 573-443-8255. Let me know what you saw and what it was like. But last night, August 6th, the Big Bang Brass Quintet played out there at the A-Frame, and John Galbraith and his trio were supposed to play tomorrow, but that show's been canceled for whatever reason. So the Rocheport General Store, I keep thinking they're gonna start up with music again, but every time I go to the website, no dice. So nothing at the Rocheport store. The Dive Bar, who are doing a great job of bringing live music back to Columbia. Tonight, Flyover Country, 8 to 11. And I think Dennis Lane may be sitting in with them, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, Dive Bar tonight, Flyover Country, and Sunday...
Another nice outdoor venue.
Yeah, they got a great patio there now. They turned that whole volleyball area into like...
And it should be a good night for it.
Awesome.
Everything's going to cool off right now.
It's amazing how cool the summer's been. I mean, July and June, and even we've had a few hot days, but not much. For a summer in mid Missouri, it's been reasonably mild. All right, Okay, that's the Dive Bar. Cooper's Landing, we talked about that. Blue Stooges, that's happening in just about half an hour. Nope, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is. Okay. And Catfish Katie's.
Yep.
Cody Percival tonight, and I don't know what time.
I bet people got time to get there, though.
Oh,
Get in your car
I'm
right
sorry.
now, Columbia.
I think they've had music all day, as a matter of fact. It looks like they had music starting at 3, and they had Cody Percival followed by Mick Bird and Mick Bird and the Backroad Band.
Load the kids up now, folks.
Yep.
You're 2 hours late.
Right? So they'll be going all the way till 9 o'clock, though, tonight out at Catfish Katie's, all right? All right, if you know something else is happening tonight, or if I missed it, please, honestly, feel free. Give me a call, 573-443-8255, and we'll be glad to share your event or whatever it is that you might want
Now,
to.
coming up soon at Cooper's, don't we have Deke Dickerson?
Thursday night.
Thursday
I'm
night.
so excited about it. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to play some
We don't
Deke.
want to plug them next week. We want to let them know now.
We're going to do it right now, yeah. Coming up Thursday the 12th, Deke Dickerson, Columbia native.
Music. There you go.
Oh,
it's
man.
going to be a rare treat.
And he's also a veteran programmer here at KOPN. He's been, not for a long time, but Deke kind of cut his teeth here in Columbia and did some radio for a while when he was living this way. But anyway, he's quite a name now out there in the rockabilly scene, and I'm sure Big Cat Matt Deal will be down there at Cooper's Landing watching the show as well. And you can catch Matt next Saturday, the second Saturday of every month, Rockabilly Corner, same time, same place, just won't be me, but you'll love it anyway. Matt Deal and the Rockabilly Corner. Awesome stuff next Saturday, 4 to 6. And then I'll be back on the 21st. Me and Kurt will be back here. And, we'll do it then. But don't miss Deke Dickerson.
So please tune in anyway, folks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I really encourage people to listen to Matt's show.
No, I was talking about us being back on the 21st. Sorry.
Yeah, please come back and listen to us, too. But for Matt, I love actually listening to Matt's show. I have two neighbors. I have about 6 neighbors, but out of my neighbors, there are 2 of very close friends of mine, Ron and Bruce, and we tend to get together and listen to Big Cat Matt's show live, and we'll open a bottle of wine, or we'll drink some beers or whatever, and we just love to listen to his show.
Yep.
And he will crack you up too. Trust me, it is.
Last time I listened to him, he was playing a lot of Deke.
It's some funny. Oh, he loves Deke.
Oh yeah,
for sure. All right, so speaking of Deke Dickerson, let's do it right now. We've got only about 17 minutes of the show left, so I better get going with it here. This is Deep River, Deke Dickerson. You can catch him live Thursday night. I'm not sure. I'll find out at the break here, and I'll tell you what time that show is going to be down there at Cooper's on Thursday. But Cooper's Landing next Thursday, Deke Dickerson.
Down at Pierpont.
Oh, yeah. Here's a little sample of what you might be hearing.
Always on the go. And I
Yeah, little Deke Dickerson. Thursday night, you can catch Deke down there at Cooper's Landing. I'll be down there, and Matt Deal will be down there, and I'm sure a bunch of our pals will be down there. So, love to see you and say hello. All right, it is...
Beautiful spot.
Oh, I need to turn your mic on. Sorry, Kurt.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm just saying it's a beautiful place to see music.
I'm not used to having a partner in the studio with me. I always got to remember, and trust me, just to make it official, so I tell the listeners, Kurt's going to be here with me regularly if he likes coming down here, because he's a great addition to the program, and I like that he plays the intros and bumper music, and he also has a lot of knowledge in music and gets to talk with our guests. So anyway, Kurt Kitson in the studio with me, and you can expect that in the future. So
but your listeners might have a different idea, so we should leave that up to you should open up the phone lines and have a little right.
They all go, get rid of him. He's a bum.
Let's have a phone right now.
No, that's the last thing we want to do.
Like the old SNLs, right? Remember?
Just like
call right now.
Just
if
like
you
everything.
Want to see the skit again.
Just like everything else in the country now, there's no democracy involved here. Okay, we're just going totalitarian, just like the rest of the country. So, we just do what we want here on Radio Orbit. Wait, no, it's Open Mic Radio. My Freudian slip is showing.
It's all having a good time. It's all it's about. Good time.
So, Deke Dickerson, one more time, he'll be here, Cooper's Landing, on
Thursday,
the 12th of August. And I think, though, it is a solo show. I think he's going to be there with his wife, who is also a very skilled and talented musician. And I think they'll be doing it.
That would be a duo. If his wife is with him, right? That is a duo, Mike.
Okay, so they'll be doing a duo.
Unless it's her by herself.
Well, I'm not sure she'll be performing with him, is what I was thinking. But if they do perform together, it will be the Deke Dickerson duo, apparently. Yeah. All right. So anyway, it'll be great because the guy's super talented, and regardless of what they do down there, I'm sure it'll be good. So maybe check that out. All right. We've got about 12 minutes left of the program. I'll leave the phones open one more, for a few more minutes here. 573-443-8255 if you'd like to say hi. Sure enjoyed the program today. I hope you liked the Reverend Freakchild playing some wonderful music there, and really pretty damn skilled guitar player.
I used to actually play with somebody here at a place called the Down Under Bar.
Really? Here in Columbia?
Yeah. And he
was it down where Cherry Street Artisans used to be, or something, or what?
About the quarry and.
That was the old
the Down Under Bar.
Yeah, and then it was called the Sapphire Lounge.
Anyway,
after that, yeah.
Anyway, he was known as Freak Boy.
Reverend Freak Boy,
and there was no Reverend involved. Trust me.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Well,
but I enjoyed the Reverend Freakchild.
I did too.
Sure.
I thought he was cool, and
it was a great Dark Star.
Very, very good.
I don't know the last time I heard Jerry play Dark Star, actually.
Yeah,
I do, but that was a few lemonades ago. All right. That's another story, Mike.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. All right, keep drinking the lemonade, everybody. All right, and stick around. Ra Shumba and a reggae party coming up from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock here on KOPN. Just keep it dialed in here, and you can hear some wonderful roots rock and reggae music coming up in just about 10 minutes or so. After that, Chris Perrier and Blues on Broadway. The Reverend Freakchild will be back visiting with Chris sometime during his program, and we'll also be performing a free set of music down at B-Side Records.
B-Sides, right?
Yeah, 1122 Wilkes Boulevard.
12 minutes.
I bet he doesn't get going in 12 minutes.
Well,
I bet it takes him till about 6:15 because he's gonna.
He might take the long way.
He's going to take the long way home. He's going to wait for us to get down there so we can see him too. So, what else? I got too much time here. I could play a couple more songs. What else should we talk about? We got 5 more minutes before we got to roll out of here. You should probably grab your guitar because you got to get ready to do our bumper, our outro.
All right,
but not quite yet. We got another few minutes for that. But I'm just saying, man, you better be on it.
Right. All right, if you're gonna put me on the spot.
That's part of your job now, man.
Okay, so I got one of those. Those.
Maybe you want to play something. You want to play a little something on the way out?
Well, I will when we get time to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Those little challenges, right?
Oh yeah.
The little what's the ice water challenge and you know what I'm talking about? The ice.
Yeah, where they dump a bucket of ice over your water.
I got a challenge for all your listeners.
I don't know.
Are you ready?
Yeah, all right.
All right. It's going to be a tough one. No, it's not really. All right. What I want is 3 random acts of kindness every day to your fellow neighbors and citizens for 1 week. Just 1 week. That's it.
Well, try to keep it going if you can.
Well, yeah. Hey, how about till we get back on the 21st?
But you're asking for a week.
I'm asking.
Just ask for a week.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's. I think. We should all be trying to do stuff like that.
That's
I agree. All
anyway.
right. Yes, I agree. It's a great idea, and
I thought that would go. The Reverend would probably.
The Reverend would appreciate that,
right?
Yeah. I wonder if Deke would though. Maybe he would. But I'm going to play one more from Deke Dickerson here because we've got time to, and then we'll come back and wrap it up with my pal Kurt Kitson, and we'll have one more from.
And then Rashumba.
Yeah, but we'll have one last one from Reverend Freakchild before we leave. So, all right, this one is Big Guitar, and it's Deke Dickerson once again.
Big Guitar.
Yeah, Thursday at Cooper's. You can check this dude out.
I got a big guitar and I play it good. Right up and down the strings like a picker should. Well, the neighbors are complaining, say it sounds like mud. Well, they call me Mr. Daddy, say you're all washed up. I don't believe what they say, I know it can't happen that way. Hey girls, y'all going my way? I get up to sing a song, but there's something wrong. Nobody listened as the day was long. Well, things changed around, this other cat began to play. Well, the party gets wild and they want to stay. I don't believe what they say, I know it can't happen that way. Hey girls, y'all going my way? Well, I'm giving up this guitar, gonna have some fun. I got my moonshine and a big shotgun. Up north they build you up just to put you down. Well, they say I'm just a hick with a big loud mouth. I can't believe what they say. Hey, are you going south? Hey, you girls going south? Wait for me now. 'Cause I got me a shine. Moonshine.
All right, there's one last one from Deke Dickerson. Again, catch him Thursday night at Cooper's Landing. All right, it's Mike, and you have been listening to Open Mic Radio on KOPN Columbia, 89.5 FM. Been a pleasure being with you. Get a hold of me and send me your music. We'll get you here on the air, and we'll share your music with other people. I'm on the web at Mike Hagan, MikeHagan, MikeHagan.com. And you can also get a hold of me right here at the radio station here at KOPN, 915 East Broadway, down in Columbia, Missouri. And, we'll be gone next week. Catch Big Cat Matt with Rockabilly Corner, 4 to 6. And stick around for a Ra Shumba and a reggae party. Great rock, roots, and reggae coming up in just a few minutes. All right, back at you in a couple weeks. Enjoy yourselves in between now and then. Stay safe, and we'll catch y'all later.
Thanks a lot. There you go. That was Open Mic Radio.
Well, now I'm plexing in the crossroads of my mind while the highway hums with the rhythms of time. Got a troubadour sense of the coincidence cruise, rambling on the ribbon of highway blues. Gonna drive till I get lost and found again. Gonna turn on the radio and dial it in. Doing about 70, 80 miles an hour. I'm feeling the sound in the road trans power. Dial it in all night long. Rolling tunes with the radio on. Gonna be alright, 'cause the darkest hours right before the light. Dial in. Well, now, can we go beyond what we think of as right and wrong, like loss and gain, obscurity and fame, praise and blame, and pleasure and pain, into the sea of equanimity